Hey there gamers, today is an exciting one because we're stepping into the neon-soaked futuristic world of Roboquest, where I should give you my early on first impressions of the game. Today's goal is to find out if this game is one worth checking out. Roboquest is a fast-paced FPS with roguelite mechanics playable in single-player or two-player co-op. Shoot and run your way through randomly generated environments, pick up upgrades along the way, and blast the powerful big bad bosses you encounter. Roboquest is playable on Xbox and PC, and it is actually on Game Pass, although it is on Steam for $24.99 USD. Also, make sure you stick around to the end of the video, that way you can hear my personal thoughts on the game and see if it met my expectations. I came across Roboquest on the Steam store and was intrigued by the great reviews it was getting. I then realized it was on Game Pass, so I quickly picked it up with the intention of diving into it. I do not play a whole lot of the rogue game style, but every now and then one piques my interest. My expectations for the game were that it was going to be a simple roguelike genre of game with a nice little unique style. Maybe it would be something that I could even play with my friends. Right away, the quick-paced action that is reminiscent of the modern-day Doom series just sucked me in and away I went. Also, the tutorial was super simple and sweet, which I greatly appreciate because I hate when tutorials are dragged out too long. The graphics of the game are pretty simple but colorful. Since you'll be whipping around through the areas pretty quick and distracted with lots of enemies, you probably won't even pay attention to a lot of the surroundings anyways. But if you do want to stop and take in the world around you every now and then, it offers a pleasant little vibe. Obviously, playing this on a faster frame rate setting is a must when you will be moving around in it. Obviously, the biggest part of this game is going to be the gameplay mechanics and how well the controls respond. At the beginning of the run, you simply start out with a pistol to kill with. After just a little progress, you'll be finding a multitude of guns and also leveling up. Leveling up provides you with a choice between two different perks. Some guns included were very simple, such as a Tommy gun and dual Uzis. On the other end of the spectrum, however, things got more wild with a dual chainsaw weapon and some elemental type weapons. Also, when you use your weapon, it makes a little comic book effect every time the trigger is pulled, which I thought was a nice little touch. You are allowed to carry two weapons at any time, so switching between them on the fly is quite satisfying. Each gun does feel somewhat different from one another, and it makes you want to try every single one. There are also some elemental effects that can happen to both you and the enemies in this game, including freezing and having your movements reversed. For the amount that I played this game, the controls were very responsive, and I was quickly flying around the map destroying the enemy robots. Obviously, this wouldn't be a roguelite unless it had those elements of dying and repeating in it. On your runs, you will collect wrenches that you can use for permanent upgrades at your base camp. The base camp is basically a safe haven hub that you can go to after you die. There's also the potential to choose new characters here, although I only unlocked one of my playthrough and did not get a chance to actually test that character out. As far as the sound design goes, I would say this is probably the weaker aspect of the game. Weapon sound effects are solid enough, and the enemies are just kind of there and don't really seem to add a whole lot in terms of sound design. The music that's always playing in the background is very intense and fast clubbing type of music that kind of reminds me of John Wick whenever he's on a rampage in one of his movies, like during a club scene. However, this soundtrack gets kind of old pretty quickly and just feels very repetitive, even if there are different ones for each of the biomes. I also had to turn the music volume down because it was absolutely blasting my ears off when I started the game up. Since I only played this game for a little bit, the story was not really shown a ton, but you are a robot that was found out in the desert by this mysterious lady, and now you two are traveling together. There was made mention of this purple thing that is taking over, which I'm assuming is just kind of the end game villain for the franchise. Dialogue tends to be just little blurps of text every now and then there's some voice logs that you can pick up that kind of add some lore here and there. Honestly, I don't think the story needs to be much for this style of game, but it works for what it is. The only real challenges that I came across this game was that it was kind of difficult to get through each level, and I was playing on the recommended settings. Obviously, that's a good thing though, since I want to be challenged and be forced to get good at the game I am playing. Plus, this is just how this style of game works. I think the biggest highlight when I'm looking back at my initial playing of this game is just finding all these cool different guns. It reminded me a little bit of Borderlands and the Ratchet & Clank franchises with their variety, while a little bit more of a negative highlight is just more of the music for the game. I can't help but feel like this game would be taken to the next level if it had just a little bit more pizzazz to the soundtrack. And maybe this is something that gets better as you get further into the game, but it still just sticks out in my mind. For my hour or so with the game, I felt fully engaged into what I was doing, and I was thoroughly enjoying it. I liked bouncing around really quick and leveling up to get cool new perks to help destroy the enemies. However, I could see the combat getting a little stale if you play it for too long in any given sitting, but I'm sure playing this with friends would probably make this go away. My first impressions of the game ended up being the Roboquest as a fast-paced roguelite game that had an addictive amount of guns and weapons to try out. I wish the soundtrack to the game could be a little bit more original, but I guess it works for what it is. But the crispness of the game mechanics definitely make this game land on its feet and do a little backflip at the end. My expectations were definitely met and exceeded for Roboquest. I would love to dive back in and maybe make some more videos out of it. I think there will definitely be a lot more that will be kind of explored as you get farther into this game. Hopefully the story will also be expanded upon as you continue to progress. If you're a fan of the rogue type genre of games, I would absolutely recommend that you check this cool little game out. Even for those that don't really enjoy the style game, I still think you could have some fun with it, especially if you can drag a friend along to play with you. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. That way you're always caught up to date on any videos that are being posted to the channel. And make sure you comment below if you want to check out this game, or maybe you already tried this game and want to kind of share your thoughts with the channel. Thanks again, everybody, for stopping by, and I hope you have a kick-ass rest of your day. See you around.